Absolutely. And another guy we don't see quite eye to eye on is Allen Robinson here. I'm a little bit lower on him than you are. I just don't know if I see the consistent enough volume. I'm sure he's going to have his dominant blow-up games. We saw it in the playoffs last year. Maybe it's recency bias for some people. It looks like this guy could be that number one. But I feel like, similar to people chasing that next Jimmy Graham, I feel like we've been chasing that, 2015 or whatever year that was Allen Robinson had in Jacksonville, and we just haven't seen that same player. But you're a little bit higher on Allen Robinson. Try to sell me on this guy.
This guy, 80 catches, 1,400 yards, and 14 touchdowns like a 22-year-old with Blake Bortles on the center, man. How did that happen?
That doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, man. Look, and I get it. I get the concerns. He hasn't been that same guy, clearly. His last 2 seasons, he's played. He's been a bottom 5 receiver in average separation per target, per next-gen stats. I mean, he's kind of this Dez Bryant-esque. He needs a quarterback to put the ball right. He can go up there and get it, but he needs the ball to be thrown to him to go up and get it. And I understand when quarterbacks would rather throw to the open guy versus the, hey, even when he's covered, he's open type guy. And that's what he is a little bit. But with that said, when, we had 12 games last year with A-Rob and Mitch under center, and he averaged team high 7.8 targets in that game. That extrapolated over 16 games. We're looking at about 124 targets per year. So I don't know if he's ever going to quite get that wide receiver 1 range again, but he's not even being really selected in that range right now. And he's kind of going in that same Will Fuller range, kind of in the upper 20s, lower 30s. And look, over these last 4 years that he's played in PPR points per game, he's finished as the wide receiver 30, wide receiver 33, wide receiver 8, obviously awesome year, and then wide receiver 35. So even in these years where he hasn't been the same guy, he's returned value that's akin to where he's being drafted at right now. So I think you can pretty much get him at his floor. I have a feeling this Bears offense takes a step back. So, I'm not saying overload yourself with exposure to A-Rob, but hey, if Trubisky, who again hasn't started many games to his career, he's in year 2 of a system. If he can take a step forward this year, I think Allen Robinson is going to be a big reason why. And it's a pretty cheap, again, this is a stack that you can get in season-long leagues that's not going to cost you much. So.
Yeah, I mean, I see all those points for sure. But I think what you mentioned, if this offense takes a step back and what they kind of make their calling card on under Nagy is spreading it around and playing the right matchups. And I think Nagy himself has even come out and said, some weeks it might just be a Taylor Gabriel week. And even last year, Taylor Gabriel, I know Robinson missed time, but Taylor Gabriel was only 1 target off of their total. And per game, I know the average obviously shakes out now in Robinson's favor quite a bit, but they really do just seem to move it around and play mismatches so well, which is what makes this team so dangerous. So I don't know if you'll ever get that true number one. And granted, you don't have to pay a true number one price, but what you mentioned is where he goes. You can get guys like, Calvin Ridley or especially Robbie Anderson for me, like where he goes, he might be a true number one that I have faith in, where he's built that chemistry with Sam Darnold, that stretch run they had, and then early preseason dividends looks like they're carrying right where they left off. I guess to me it's more about who you'd have to pass up on the opportunity of Allen Robinson, that opportunity cost. I just see a lot more upside. Even like Curtis Samuel, who we talked about, I think I'd rather have the potential blow up. I just don't see it with Robinson. I do love the reports about how he's healthier. He doesn't have to focus on rehabbing, so now in camp it's more about building that chemistry and really becoming a major part of the offense. That's starting to steer me a little more in his direction. But I just see this passing game at least being so spread out that it's going to be a few huge weeks and then a few just you don't even know where he went. And I just would rather take a shot on a Robbie Anderson or, maybe even Josh Gordon now that he's back, something of that nature where it's more consistent. That's where I kind of lean in his price range. I guess that's why I just never end up with him, is I like the players that go around him quite a bit more.
Yeah, that's fair. And the one thing that does concern me from A-Rob last year, he had 2 really big blow-up games. One was against the Eagles in the playoffs, and what wide receiver 1 didn't go off against the Eagles last year.
Yeah.
And his other game was against the Lions when Darius Slay was out. So, it was, really haven't seen him just dominate a tough matchup in a long time. So I understand the concern.
Yeah, exactly.